Awesome. So, Marie Claude, I'm so happy that we are doing this together today, creating your ideal client avatar. So, you, my friend, are fresh off of the 5 day challenge where you crushed it. You got some client testimonials. Super proud of
Yes.
you. Yeah. Which is a foundation, of the program. So, I actually, before we get into all of this and like actually creating your ideal client avatar together, talk to me about who your starter niche was before you started the challenge.
My starter niche before the challenge was 35 to 45-year-old busy mom, not busy moms, what the word that I had, super moms, right? 35 to 45-year-old super moms that have got 2, 3 kids. It was quite based on my local community. I live in a remote small town farming agricultural community. So
Yeah.
that itself brings a lot of differences in the way that these women presents with all of their needs and goals, as opposed to, I don't know, like a 35-year-old mother in New York City kind of thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so that was my starter niche that I had in mind. I've already got a business, fitness business. So these were my clients that I already had as well, that I saw as my starter niche before I did the challenge.
Yeah, that's really good. So you kept it like not overly broad, like you were still working with women in a certain age group, which I actually think is important because you and I both know, like, as well, as women, as moms, like the things that we did earlier in our lives versus the things that we're doing now in our mom lives is just different, right? Like we think differently, our priorities are a bit different. So you still had that starter niche. Well, how, like, what changed for you? Like, how did you kind of develop? I know we're going to do this today, and you looked through this a little bit before we hit record, but how did the starter niche, the idea of who you maybe wanted to work with, change since you did the challenge?
Well, that's a very interesting question. What has changed since the challenge is that I no longer look for the very, very definite niche, which I thought was because I'm only starting, right? I'm a new coach. So I was really narrowing it so much that I was actually, like, for example, I had 40 women in mind. I've got lots of clients already, physical clients in my fitness business. And I was just kind of tossing a lot to the side because they didn't represent that, 36-year-old women with, the example that you give, 11 fingers, loving like fried chicken. So that has changed for me. To learn this was just, mind-blowing. That I needed to have some boundaries and barriers around who I want to serve, but not so much that, if my neighbor asked me for coaching, no, I can't, you're not in my avatar. I had this kind of people interested or reaching out, and I thought, oh, they don't have as many children as I would like them to be, or they're,
Interesting.
That's what has changed for me. So to actually bring it a bit broader, but still keep these boundaries of what makes them a soul client for me.
So when you did those calls, when you did those free 30-minute coaching calls, was there anybody that you spoke with that you were like, oh my gosh, like I would love to work with you and serve you?
Yes. Actually, you can't see, but I've got my list right on my wall, handwritten with a number. Yes, there were people that I already know. Most of them were already from my already existing fitness business, and that kind of confirmed it. They making these calls were so not easy. I had to get out of my comfort zone, sweaty pits, racing hearts, but oh my gosh, these calls gave me so much confidence. They filled up I'm able to coach confidence cup, and getting this from the challenge for me was priceless.
I love that.
Get coaching, because that's how you get better and you get confident. So rather than fluffing on the little things, like I'll just, we kind of procrastinate not to get into the hard stuff. I booked them in and I just took the plunge. And it was beautiful to talk to these people. So many of them are following me now to the market research. So yeah.
Awesome. I love, love, love that. So now thinking of those clients that you have their name up above you, that were so ideal for you. That's who I want you to think about now as we walk through and create your ideal client avatar, right? People who just, you felt that connection with them when you're chatting with them. Let's talk about them. So let's just give them a name. This like just helps with you like actually building this person in your mind and picturing them.
Yes. So her name is Tanya.
All right. So tell me, oh, Taya, whoops. So how old is she and what stage of life is Tanya in?
So same 35 to 45, which I'm not sure if 10 years is.
10 is good. I would say anywhere between 10 and 15 is usually a really great age range. Yeah. So 35 to 45. Talk to me about what stage of life is Tanya in? Like, what is she working? Is she not? Does she have kids? If so, how old they are? Like, how old are they? Tell me about where Tanya is in her life right now.
So she's got, we'll say 1 to 3 kids, maybe more, but yeah, at least one. But I'm thinking in my area where I live, it's very common for my soulmate client to have 2, 3, 4 kids.
Okay.
Big families.
Yeah.
And she's at a stage of her life where she's out of baby zombiehood. So her sleep has started to repair a little bit. She has entered some form of part-time work. So my soulmate client, I wouldn't say work full-time. I'd say 2 to 3 days a week, which kind of brings a family work balance, but also a crazy balance because she's got lots on her plate and she's kind of 2 places at the same time.
Yeah.
So she's still quite at home minding her kids. So that draws a lot of energy out of her, as we know. But she's also in the workplace in some form, if it's at home or, working part-time. Which kind of give her her break.
So working part-time is like her break from the mommy life, like the whole mom life thing.
Yes. So she loves being home with her kids. And I'd say her kids are not like school age, but that kind of 18 months to here in Australia, kinder years, 4 years old. So still in the phase where they're still quite demanding preschool years where when she's home with the kids, it feels more exhausting than when she's at work.
Yeah.
But that also brings, some kind of expectation in the schedule because we know before 18 months, it's all about the baby's routine. Whereas now she's kind of recovering some sense of self, some sense of time in some ways.
Okay. That's really important. I can tell that you really know her. Recovering from the baby routine and getting her time. Is she married, partnered up? Like, talk to me a little bit about that part of life.
I'd say married. Yeah. From the cultural background around me, most of them have been married before.
And is her husband working full time?
Yes. I would say 99% of all these soulmate clients, husband will be working full time.
Okay. Is he kind of like the breadwinner? Does she have to work? Does she just kind of want to work? Or talk to me a little bit about like what you feel their income dynamic is.
I'm not so sure it's that specific. I think that would be a bit more flexible. That some of them I've got on my soulmate client list, they run businesses part-time.
Yeah.
So their income kind of matters, but then if she wouldn't work, they'll still be okay. From the husband's full-time.
So their family as a whole, would you say has a stable income?
Yes, I would say, yeah.
Okay. It doesn't really matter. It's just, again, like you kind of just want to know exactly where she's at in her life, right? But so
that's really helpful.
Cool. And like you said, she loves her kids, but she's finally kind of feeling exhausted by them. She's recovering from the baby routine, getting her time back. enjoying being outside of the home. So likely enjoying having that other adult connection, which will be
Yes.
fantastic because she'll have that in you as well.
Yes.
Talk to me about what Tanya's goals are. What's her goal? Like, let's start with her fitness goal. Like, what's her goal for her health?
For her health more so, or can it be in terms of their health, in terms of like mindset, or really just in terms of physical health?
Nope, mindset too. You can tell me all about her health, and then we can talk about like what her big picture goals are for herself.
I'd say body composition. So there's kind of some weight loss there. However, I found that a lot of them don't word it that way. They just most of them have came and said, "I would just want to feel comfortable in my own clothes." There's the clothes there as an indicator of progress. So they don't use that word, "I want to lose fat" or lose weight. Some of them, yeah, I think she might use these words, but yeah, definitely, but not an overly lot. And these, I think this soulmate client Tanya hasn't been someone that has struggled their whole life, come from a very complex background of like morbidly obese, but it's just throughout their children whilst they had their children. If that makes sense. So we're not talking about someone as a soulmate client that have experienced these since puberty, adolescence, early adulthood. They kind of felt good in their pre-kids, and that's kind of what they want to recover. And yeah, 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, life got in the way, and yeah, so that's kind of around that, I think, in terms of body composition. I think they want to feel stronger. I say they, but like Tanya, that's not Tanya.
Yeah.
She wants to feel stronger. Like she wants to have, wants to feel stronger, like not have very definite muscles, but just definitely work on that strength. So, just feel stronger, like executing some form of movement with their body where they feel empowered with their muscles. Better consistent energy. So Tanya is someone that relies on coffee still, because she's still she's out of baby zombiehood, but she hasn't gotten into a good life hygiene that her body can create and maintain this energy. So she still relies on high sugary foods, coffees and caffeine kind of thing. So she would like to have that high level of consistent energy, but that she can maintain without the help of like quick fixes kind of thing. Then in terms then recovering, I don't know if that's still in the
sure.
fitness, but recover a sense of self.
Okay.
She's been in the trenches of serving every one of her waking moments to dedicate that to her kids being okay, her family being okay, the meals being served, the lunches being made. So she just wants to do something that is just for her.
Yeah.
A journey that doesn't involve anything but herself. And there's a bit of a search of embodying that new body and soul that has changed, that because she's been so busy with the kids, she hasn't had that opportunity to have that reflection and that time to to own herself again in her physical body as well as in her mind, I guess. Yeah.
So she wants to reclaim her body and get to know herself again.
Yes, in the way that it is now, not so much in the way that it was back then.
Yeah.
To really forge that new Tanya. That's not the mom, that's the woman inside.
I love that. I really love that. Would you say that that's like the big picture goal, like that recovering that sense of self? And when she does that, just the doors blow open with opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Like to feel proud of,
Mhm.
not just to feel, 5 out of 10, to feel like that mid-20s kind of like fun, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing, that's one word that comes a lot. Because when you're a parent, you're always, right, breaking fights and having bananas under your shirt. You don't feel like glamorous and fun anymore. So
Yeah.
there's a sense of fun within that new personality and sense of identity,
Yeah. So
like
she wants to,
womanhood.
yeah, fun and glamorous like she was in her 20s, but more like a woman now that she's not in her 20s.
Yeah, like a vibrant, empowered woman. And I think that in some ways she doesn't kind of feel like she can ever feel that way again. Not that she's given
Mm.
up, but she thinks she's a mum now. So mums have bananas on their shirts. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
um so yeah.
Okay. Okay. What type of training does she currently do? Any sort of physical training?
I'd say she does some local fitness classes
Mm-hmm.
that are kind of a mix of cardio and weights.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I wouldn't say she's just on the treadmill or she's just in your buddy pump kind of classes. And just staying here, like within my community as well, like there's a YMCA that offers Les Mills kind of classes.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't do anything that's really like high intensity, more of a recreational athlete, just some kind of, yeah, recreational 2-3 times a week. She might be doing some training from home because we've been in and out of lockdowns and stuff like this a lot in Australia. So I think, yeah, Tanya would have been like using some form of apps back home that offers that kind of resistance training and cardio. Quick trainings. She loves the 20-minute format.
Mm-hmm.
That fits within her life. However, when she gets a full hour, it's like a big gift.
Ah,
It's special if she gets to go to a full hour class. Otherwise, it's 15-20 minute formats whilst she gets the time.
got it. What does Tanya really struggle with? Like, what is she really struggling with?
Well, she really struggles to give herself permission to make her health a priority.
Mm.
So before all of that, that's the first door for me, right? Like to kind of open and heal.
Yeah.
Because she just has spent years and years and years minding others. Kind of comes weird to her that she would have permission to take that time for her.
Mm.
That consistent time. Once a week going to the gym, she's fine, or getting a massage once a month. But to tell herself that every day she matters and she can take that time to make her own meal and her needs matter, that's a struggle for her.
Okay. But daily, yeah, daily movement and good nutrition is a struggle.
Daily prioritizing her. Yeah.
Mm.
She really struggles with listening to her own body cues. So I'm thinking that's something that will need focus on, because she's been on the go with the kids, feeding the kids. She's really disconnected to her own body cues in terms of hunger. When she's hungry, stopping when she's fine, when she's feeling satisfied. So she's struggling with bringing a regular meal intake in her days, because this has just been disrupted with the last 2 or 3 kids, their meal schedules, what they need to eat, when they need to eat. So she might be eating on the go a lot, like in the house or outside of the house. She struggles to make different food choices than her family. So she struggles to prepare or eat something that serves her goals, because that's not what the family likes to eat or want to eat. She doesn't want to eat different foods at her table than her kids.
Mhm.
There's that kind of like social connection to her family that is a struggle in terms of it's okay if I eat, you know, grilled fish and my fish, then my kids eat vegetables, sausages kind of thing.
Mhm.
So there's something there in terms of mindset, to then work on the mindset to then be able to bring these different food choices in the picture.
Yeah.
Um, she struggles with rest and recovery, consistent
Mm.
rest and recovery. So she will allow herself to crash on the couch or to meditate or to do a yoga. But she does that when she's at rock bottom. So when she's like, oh my goodness, I am burnt out, must fix it.
Ah.
So she struggles with bringing consistent amount of rest and recovery to
Mhm.
calm her nervous system, even when it's not needed. So she'll always
Mm.
just go in reaction, right? When it's very acute and she just cannot even raise her own arm to make a lunch for her kids, she'll be like, oh, I need a massage. Oh, I need to meditate. Or rather than consistently having this practice in place to keep nurturing her nervous system every day.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a lot of struggles. Poor Tanya.
Hey, but you have a lot to help her with.
Yeah, there you go. Um,
Anything else that she struggles with?
oh, there's one that kind of came to mind. I think she may struggle. She does have a good base of what is nutritious food and what is not, but there is maybe a bit more work to do there in terms of she struggles to make better food choices. She struggles to make consistent better food choices.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, which obviously makes sense if she's just constantly like running around, eating things in and outside of the house.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she may prepare and choose a very good choices again on Monday, but then Tuesday to Friday, she's gone out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what does she do well?
She has an outstanding sense of dedication and care for her family and community.
Mm.
So she knows what it feels like to really care for her community and her family's health and well-being. So that can be reflected back onto her once she's given herself permission to look after her, to mind her own needs.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, she's like a time management ninja, right? Because she's got little Billy's karate on Monday, then she's got little Lucy's piano on Wednesday. So she's really good with time management in some ways.
Yeah.
For others.
Okay.
Yeah. So she does that really well. She is able to use like a planner, reminders on her phone, her diary, Google Calendar. So she's really good at managing that. And I see that to be a very good thing, that then she does that well. She can also learn to put reminders for herself and to put herself in her diary or her Google Calendar for her own needs.
Yeah. That's a really important thing to notice too, because that can be built into your offer when we create it. That's awesome.
She is very dedicated. So she's not someone that's just starts something and then, I'll scrap it, it's too hard. So she's got a good sense of, she doesn't abandon easily. She's very driven. She's very driven for her family, for her community, with her, to help her friends and to make the world, happy around her. And she does that really well. So I'm thinking she's not someone that will just abandon on week 2 saying, oh, preparing broccoli is too difficult. She'll keep at it. It'll be difficult, but she'll keep at it. So I think she does that really well.
Awesome. I love that. What about her obstacles? What do you are noticing that her primary obstacles to change are? Like if she embarked in this program and even though she's very dedicated, like what could come up for her? What would be the reasons that things would fall off track?
I think it's more in terms of mindset. The obstacle that could come off is that they get really excited. I would make, I would support her to journey towards a mindset where she's like, you're right, I matter. And then the kids have karate and the little ones have an emergency trip to the hospital. And then her 3-year-old break her femur, and then the husband is away for work. And then that could kind of munch back into, well, life is too busy to look after myself. Maybe my coach was wrong and I just need to be a mom now. So that could be an obstacle, but then I can really well see where you just kind of really cut down these actions into small little bites. Keep them consistent. Even if she's going to emergency because little Billy's fallen off the tree, she's had to do a school pickup, she can still make better food choices that day.
So an obstacle then too to her change would be too much at once, too much change, too many tasks to do at once.
Yes,
okay.
Overwhelmed with what she has to do.
Okay, awesome. Let's talk about where she spends most of her time physically. I know she's working part-time, so where is she most of the time? Is she at home, part-time work?
Yeah, I'd say she spends quite a lot of time in her home. And giving the demographic here as well, we live in a country town. We don't drive into the city. Like, we're kind of home people a lot.
Yeah.
Living in the country, a lot of them live on farms, so they are 30 minutes, 45 minutes out of town. So they do spend a lot of time at home.
I love farms.
Yes.
Awesome.
She does spend some kind of time in the office, obviously when we're out of lockdown. So she spends some times into some form of workplace. Time in the car, because we live in a remote place. If we want to drive from place to place or from hometown to hometown, maybe there's half an hour to 45 minutes in between places. And it's not, it's common practice for Tanya, for example, to have to do the 45 minutes on the road a few times a day. I did a bit of a survey there with the farm mums, and some of them have clocked in like 1,000 kilometers by Wednesday. Yeah. So she spends a lot of time in the car. She's at the gym when she does some fitness classes. So in kind of some gym studio environment. She's at the park a lot because she's still got these young kids. So she enjoys going to the park. Or she takes the kids to the park because they go crazy in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah. Like, I think that's very outside the box. Like, she's outside of the park with kids. So if you're finding in market research that movement more is one of her goals, that's a place where she could get that in. And lots of time in the car, also a really interesting thing, especially if she's somebody who doesn't take a lot of time for herself. Maybe and she does want to make that a priority, maybe she has Audible and she's able to listen to a book that you tell her to listen to that's very uplifting and mindset driven. Cool.
Absolutely. So that can create some time where she thinks she doesn't have. That's a good space where she can make the time.
You just hit the nail on the head with this. Like, this is where we find out how we can help them create time. Like, we're knowing how and where they spend their time. What does she read? Is she reading? Like, is she Googling things? Is she reading blogs or magazines, emails, newsletters? What is she reading? Anything?
I had a bit more difficult for me to think about this because I'm not on overly reading myself.
Yeah.
I think if anything, so it's a reading, isn't it? What are they reading?
Well, is she? And that's kind of something else. Like, if it's okay if she's not, I mean, does she look at people's social media posts? Does she read Instagram posts? Does she read Facebook posts? Like,
I say she reads newsletters. So if she's like, for the purpose of what I'm doing,
Mhm.
like if she's part of a yoga or a gym or something like this, she would potentially read the newsletters that they send out.
Mm.
Maybe some blogs as well. Yeah, that's definitely something I would need to find out a bit more about. I feel I don't don't find I have that much information about what she reads. Definitely Facebook, people's posts, scrolling kind of habit.
Yeah. Oh, and
Mm.
you'll find out more on your market when you actually do market research, because it's one of the questions in there, just like how they
Perfect.
consume information and what they like. And truthfully, she might be too busy to be reading. So, you know what I mean? Like, and
Maybe
that's
that's
okay
why
too.
yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I think she doesn't overly spend a lot of time. Actually, she reads books. I think from what I've heard, she has like books on her night table.
What kind of books are they, like for entertainment?
Oh, I'd say half and half, like fiction, but also a lot of like all of these books like personal growth, um, about the world,
Mm,
these kind of subjects.
being a better world citizen.
Yeah, like how to do things better, or I don't know, be more effective, or find happiness kind of book thing.
Hmm. Cool. What does she watch? Does she watch TV? Does she watch movies? Does she watch TikTok videos, Instagram reels? What do you think she watches?
I think she watches Netflix.
Yeah. Any specific shows?
See, I don't watch Netflix. I don't, that's why I get kind of stuck.
That's okay. Yeah. Maybe she watches Coco Melon, depending on how old her
I think
kid
she watches a lot of her own kids show.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. We love Coco Melon. What about social media platforms? What is she on? What is she active on?
I think she would be quite specifically on Facebook and Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Who does she follow? Is she following anybody specifically on Facebook and Instagram? Any sort of bloggers or podcasters or famous people?
I'd say like health influencers,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but I don't follow them myself. So that's why it's a bit tricky to kind of.
Do you follow any like mommy bloggers or people that put out like recipes or mom advice?
No, because I get too overwhelmed when I do. So I really like, I don't know if I'm a
Yeah.
weird person, but I really narrow the amount of information that I get from these platforms. So that's why I'd have to dig a little bit more to see what I'm thinking. Yeah, just health influencers. I'd say, yeah, like the mummies kind of, these kind of channels.
Mhm.
People that have done TV shows like Married at First Sight or Bachelorette that has
Oh, reality TV shows.
that I've kind of like came up with some form of health programs.
Okay. Who do they trust? What types of people does Tanya trust?
They trust their friends that have had results.
Mm.
So they would be tempted. They would be tempted to really trust. Yeah, their friends have had results. That would be like big social proof for them.
Mm.
Even if the thing doesn't really make sense to them, like if their friends have had great results on a shake diet or something, even though they might not think it's a great thing, their friend is raving about it. So I think they trust their friends.
Okay.
Even if it's a bad thing. Yeah. I think they trust nutrition and health influences. Like I was saying, these kind of reality TV made influencers that might share about their health programs and stuff for them. It gives them a lot of credibility.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Who do they think is like a cheesehead charlatan, meaning somebody that they just don't trust at all? They think is like super cheesy, super like, oh my gosh, this person's like full of crap.
Yeah, I've had a good think. I couldn't really find any answer to that. I don't know, maybe their husband telling them what to do, like
Sure. Their husband giving nutrition advice.
like their partner, yeah, their partner giving them nutrition advice. That's like the only thing
That's
that I
okay.
can think of.
That's okay. Who does Tanya identify with? Are there any specific labels? Like what would she call herself? Is she like a badass mom? Does she call herself like a super mom? Does she call herself a busy mom? Like what does she call herself?
There's a very popular hashtag amongst my community of these soulmate clients, and it's mum life, mum's life, mum life, like hashtag mum life. I don't know if that fits within that category.
Yeah.
That was another difficult one for me because I don't identify myself and like on the online platform so much where I'm an optional kind of person. I don't identify to any brands in particular. So yeah, there'll be a bit more research for me, I think, in the market research.
Yeah. I would especially look at like this label one. I would add that even to your market research questions, and ask them. Yeah. Ask her when you talk to them, ask her how she self-identifies, because that's really going to help us when we create your lean pitch, your I help statement, because we really want to call her out specifically. We want to use how she identifies. So brands, cool. Any sort of brands that she likes? Like, is she into like Target? Well, for me, it's like Target and Amazon and stuff.
Oh, we got Target too. Actually, now that you said that, I think, when Target came into town a few years ago, I think, they might identify as Target mums.
Yeah, Target. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm there every week.
I think Apple's, like a lot of them kind of really like Fitbits and stuff. A lot of them put a lot of energy and money into these things that have the promise to get them on a healthier journey, like all count my like the magic pill kind of thing. So in terms of brands, I think it's important to them because their Fitbit represents what's going to help them, or the Apple Watch, or like having these informations kind of like their, I don't know, some of them like wear the band thing when they exercise to know how much calories they burn. And so I think there might be some like these devices, which again, I don't use myself. So for me, it's a bit of a mystery world where I'd have to get a bit more information how they use these within the context of their fitness and health journey.
Yeah, ask. Any sort of ideologies, like anything else that like that Tanya may identify with or that's important to her? Like politics or religion, or does she follow sports other than her kids' sports? Or
yeah, I'd say Australian rule football, so AFL. It's big here. It's like, I don't know, soccer in Europe, so, or American football. So I think AFL sport, because a lot of them, their kids are involved in the local teams or play. So she identifies a lot around that. And then I had one that's more like, I don't want to sound too woohoo, but like the energies of the universe. Like I seem to be kind of an openness, not specifically to a religion or specific ideology, but just that they believe in, manifesting things, and they've got that kind of spirituality around their ideology.
Yeah, spirituality, manifestation, energies of the world and the universe, like connected to like the earth.
That's it. Yeah.
You don't have to sound too like, don't worry about woo-woo with me. I got crystals all over here. No, I know, right? Anything else that you feel like identifies Tanya that we haven't talked about yet?
I think it paints a really clear picture. Like to have the opportunity to do this really defines her. Doing this exercise, that kind of avatar just brightens everything so much. It just makes sense, brings so much clarity to then what my next step needs to be. Yeah.
And as important it is that we've created Tanya, like that avatar, we should talk about, we're going to talk about like your the energy vampire client, like the person that like, if you had clients like them, it's the ones that looking at your call sheet and you're like, oh, I have to talk to this person. It doesn't, it almost gives you the heart palpitations in a bad way instead of the butterflies of excitement in your stomach. Can you think
Yeah.
of someone like that you really would just not want to work with?
I had a bit more trouble with the energy vampire, maybe because I don't have that many around me. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
knowing how Tanya is and like knowing what her life is like, who's
yeah,
kind of the opposite of her? Let's name them. What's a name?
yeah. I gave her the name Nicole.
Nicole? Mean to you in high school?
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, she was more so a person that I worked with, yeah, within my fitness business, and a bit more tricky, a bit more draining,
Well, so at what stage of life, how old is Nicole? What stage of life are they in?
Oh, I'd say she's before 35.
Okay.
So she's still in that like no kids, single life, kind of partying her life out on the weekend without thinking about the consequences, long term, short term. Happy to live with her Sunday hangover. Going, yeah. She has no responsibilities other than like work and saving for her first mortgage later in life. Maybe she has a dog or something, but yeah, if you look at how complex her schedule is, not that complex. She has lots of free time. She does not need to be a time management ninja to manage her life. It's quite yeah, straightforward and flexible.
Okay. Lots of flexibility.
Yeah.
What are her goals, both fitness and big picture?
I think she's more of a quick fix kind of person, and then it goes like with her personality that she's not really patient for the big journey. So her goals is just short term. She's not looking for deep transformation because she hasn't experienced life that she feels like she would need a deep transformation. So she would be more after that kind of yeah, I think she kind of she's still in a stage where she gets really influenced with like these women in the magazine kind of thing. That would be her goal. The Instagram influences, so she might get some, I don't know, like physical, like not medical, but some kind of transformation that are kind of around that. She doesn't want to find who she is in herself, like Tanya, her own unique identity. She kind of wants to be like the crowds, what the templates of beauty are in her culture. Whereas Tanya is a bit more like she wants to be her.
Yeah. Okay. What type of training does Nicole do, if she does any?
Well, maybe she doesn't do any, but then on the other side, I think she might just be like we said, Tanya wasn't much into like the more intense CrossFit kind of training. I think that Nicole would go hard or go home, but then she wouldn't go hard for long.
Okay.
So she's the kind of person that would sign up for like quite a high intensity because that's what's cool. High intensity training, but then she would just kind of cancel her membership after like 3 weeks or something.
That's really good to know. Oh my God, that makes perfect sense. What does she really struggle with?
I think her mindset. She's someone that thinks that everything is happening to her, or every like
victim mindset.
Yeah. Like everyone is responsible for her miseries kind of thing. She doesn't take ownership over what happens to her. So I think that's a really big struggle for her. her struggle is that she always looks like outside for fixes rather than thinking it might be her own zone of control. She just has an overly like negative outlook on life, if that makes sense, but not in
Yeah.
not in like a clinical depressive way, just in a way that, yeah, things are just always, it was sunny this morning, but it's raining this afternoon, so it sucks. Like
Okay, so glass is half empty.
glass half, yeah, that's it. Glass half empty. Yeah.
Hmm.
And she struggles because she always looks for perfection. So she's really into the all or nothing mindset. Yeah, and that brings a struggle because didn't have a long-term sustainable results. It's more about taking imperfect actions, which is not really how she thinks.
Okay. What does she do well?
Let's have a bit of a thought on that.
Is she a good worker?
I think she's really dedicated to her work. She wants to be like at the top, right?
Okay. Okay, cool. So then what are primary obstacles to change? Like what's standing in her way of actually getting this like Instagram worthy body that she wants?
She wants quick fixes. Is that?
Mm-hmm. So she lacks like the long-term thinking. She wants a quick fix.
Yes. Yeah.
Not willing to do like the long-term work.
Yeah, it's got to be like 20 days to flat abs kind of thing.
Abs in 20 days.
Yeah.
Okay. Where does she spend most of her time?
She works a lot.
Yeah. What does she read? Newspapers, magazines, books?
I'd say she spends a lot of time on social media. So whatever there is to read there, like short entertainment kind of information. I don't think she reads books. It's more like phone stuff.
Yeah, that she can get on her phone.
Yeah.
What does she watch? Does she watch YouTube, TikTok?
Oh yeah, I think she's on TikTok a lot.
She's on there a lot.
Um,
So she's on TikTok as a social media platform? What else?
I think so. Yeah. I'd say she watched like the latest Netflix cool thing, which again, I don't really know what it is because I don't watch Netflix, but she would watch she'd be binge watching those, and she'd be watching like the show of the moment that they just released. She likes the new stuff.
What other social media platforms do you think she's on other than TikTok?
Instagram, Facebook as well. I'd say she's on Instagram more than Facebook.
Who does she follow?
So I don't hang out with these people much, so it's a bit more difficult.
Yeah.
I'd just say like influencers.
Yeah, so people that are famous in the moment. People who are experiencing their 15 minutes of fame right now.
Yes.
Yeah. How about who she trusts? The same people, influencers and famous people?
Yeah, absolutely. If they have got something for sale, I think they got their credit card and they're ready.
Interesting. She will gladly hand over her credit card to them.
Yeah, so she's really quick on the transaction.
Impulsive on buying, yeah. Who, like, what do you think she would label herself as? Is she like a young professional? Is she a party girl? Like, what do you think she would identify as?
Yeah, I think the party.
Party girl?
Or like living in the moment. You only live
YOLO.
kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What about brands? CrossFit, Apple, Lyft, Uber. But I think you had mentioned that like she might be doing some high intensity stuff. So it could be she likes CrossFit. Whatever the influencers are pushing.
I think so. Yeah. She follows the cool brands. So she definitely, sorry, that's a garbage truck. Yeah, I'd say she's big on like the latest brand. So she does change her phones every time there's a new one coming out. She's onto the latest things. Whereas,
Okay.
yeah, Tanya still uses, as long as it's not dead, she uses it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really funny. We can both obviously identify that. Not that there's anything wrong with either, but you know.
No.
What about ideologies? Is she super into anything, like super into politics or religion, sports? Is she super into like I don't know. Like is she really involved in anything, or is she kind of just like in her own Instagram world?
I'd say pretty much, yes. That's a bit of a difficult one because I don't hang out with Nicole too much. So it's difficult to think about what these one would be. I can't think of anything else. Then her ideology would be a lot around these social media platforms.
So whatever's cool at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that we want to talk about, Nicole? Or have we covered her?
I think we've pretty much covered her. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
When we think of all of the center of the bullseye, right? Because when we have a target, there's that center of the bullseye, which I feel like you kind of were really focusing in on when you had the starter niche. You were like really narrow, right? But then a target has all these kind of like outer layers. But when we think of your ideal client, like Tanya being right there, that ideal client, and all the qualities that she has, which of those qualities are you not willing to compromise on? Like, this is what someone has to have in order to work with you.
Open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
Coachable.
Mm-hmm.
That they're willing to give it a try. So as opposed to Nicole, that can be quite, close-minded over, I know how to do things. Ready for a big change. They have to be ready for a big change. And to be conscious of they must have the qualities to understand that it's not a 8 weeks kind of thing.
Okay. So more of like the long-term vision.
Long-term vision. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that you're looking for those qualities that Tanya has that like your clients, your soulmate clients that you want to work with must have? Do they have to be moms? Do they have to be of a certain age? Like you want them to be moms? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. So I'd say, mums, 35 to 45.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be a bit younger, but over 45 to 50 and over, their kids are a bit older. However, I did have a very interesting call with a client that was around this age with older kids, and there was a good connection.
So it's the moms, but potentially where it's maybe less about their age and more about where their kids' ages are. So you want them to be out of like the straight up baby, everything's so crazy. So moms with kids who are 18 months upwards to still in the house. So like between 18 months and 18 years, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it's more in terms of, maybe the mum's age. Let's say the kids like up to primary school age. I think that mums that have teenagers are facing I think the thing is that with teenagers is that they've been on that journey for longer, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Whereas if they have younger kids, there's like that kind of 5 to 10 years where they've kind of lost themselves, not like 20.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're at a point where they are ready to rediscover themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
This is really important for you to know, right?
Yeah. 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 I think so. It brings so much clarity. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then as far as qualities that you're flexible on, that could potentially be the mom's age, like her specific age, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Okay.
for sure. And that's when I don't want to narrow, 38 or 37. No, the age of the
Right.
month. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Any other qualities that you feel fairly flexible on?
Yeah, that's a bit of a tricky one as well.
Well, like, do you only want to work with moms who are spiritual, or would you be open to working with moms who are more religious, or they have other things going on?
Yeah, we can say that. I'm flexible to working with mums with different ideologies.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, flexible with working with mums. When I first started to think before I did the challenge, I was quite narrow with like must only work part-time. Like, I don't know why. But I'm flexible, I guess. Like there might be some mothers that work more towards full-time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm flexible on that. I mean, I don't need to have a mum that really is stay at home, as well as I think I was kind of more reflecting my own life on on my soulmate clients in that way. Yes, I'll be flexible on that.
Okay. So then do you only want to work with the clients who fit Tanya's description to a T?
Well, I think I'm flexible.
Yeah. So maybe not 100%, but like 85?
Yeah. More towards the 85 makes sense.
Okay.
And I think I'll get to discover that as well as I keep, doing these beautiful calls that I've been able to book through the challenge to get to really talk to them rather than just wondering in my head will bring a lot of clarity into that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right, my friend. You got a super cool, you have a good start of where you're going to go and some of the questions that you're going to get some clarity on.
Yeah.
Now when you go into your market research.
Yes. Thank
Awesome.
you so much.
Thank you so much for doing this with us.